Welcome to Studio CEO, the shortcuts. These are short little business coaching tips that I can share with you on a weekly basis that you can integrate into your creative service-based business today and start improving it. In Studio CEO this week, it is pricing week, so week 3, and we had an hour and a half conversation. We unpacked everyone in the group's pricing. Some of the girls, I ended up tripling their pricing. I was completely horrified. They were below expected fees for an entry-level designer, and they are producing magazine-worthy full-service interior design, like being in the local project, being in the design files, doing amazing, incredible work. And it's not the first time I've seen this, and sadly, it won't be the last. I feel like a lot of the times girls get into Studio CEO, then we start having really candid conversations across the industry, and all of a sudden, they realize that they have been undercharging by half or a third, and all this money's left on the table. And I don't want to dwell on that because it's depressing and I don't want them to go and do calculations of what used to happen. I just want to get them into a place where they can move forward and be confident in the way that they're pricing for their clients. So a little micro learning from that I want to share for today is where I was talking about the hourly rate. If you're going to disclose an hourly rate in your contract, often there's a clause in the contract that says any work outside of the scope will be charged at an hourly rate of $220, for example. If you're going to do that, my tip to you is to speak to your client at time of proposal and just say, look, is this everything that you want me to pull together a proposal to engage me to work on? The reason I'm asking is everything that sits inside of the scope of work in this proposal will be priced at a reduced rate. It's a value-based pricing, so based on what it is that we're doing to transform the home. But anything that sits outside of the scope of work is charged at a premium hourly rate. And the reason being, when we get to the end of 9 months working together, 12 months working together, 2 years working together, if you want to add scope and you all of a sudden want me to, actually, we'll get you to do the joinery in the kids' room now, or we'll get you to do this, it affects your calendar. It affects what jobs you can take on in your business. If we're getting to the end of a job and all of a sudden there's 3 more rooms, you can't do you thought you could do a different project. So your pipeline is influenced or negatively influenced. Your pipeline is affected and it stops you around a little bit. And it just prevents people from paying you in phases and trickling things through because, there is a restart fee in my contract if you go away and come back and I have to review your file and whatnot. And these are things that we don't always actually implement, or we don't charge people fees. But see how much more confident and comfortable I am when I'm saying to my homeowner, look, that's absolutely fine. Just let me know everything that you want covered in the scope so I can price accordingly and make sure you get a good deal. Because if you are adding later, and in my contract, it won't say additional scope outside of what is in the proposal is charged at $220. It will say additional scope is charged at a premium fee of $270 or something like that. So you're clawing back more money. It makes you get a little bit of resentment at the end of the job sometimes. If you haven't priced correctly, you definitely have resentment. It's been going for ages. They've often taken advantage. You haven't added on ancillary fees, additional costs. When you scoped it out, you were nervous and you just wiped off $1,500 for no reason, and now you don't love it. Well, you're going to love it even less if you're also just pitching for a secondary scope, extending the job and charging at your hourly rate. So my tip to you today is to really sit down and look at what is, if you have an hourly rate in mind that you would normally charge for extension of scope or things that sit outside of the scope, I want you to bump that up. I want you to call it a premium hourly fee for additional scope and understand why it affects your business and why we don't want to encourage that behavior from the homeowner. And don't forget, you also always have the ability to put another sentence under that and say, the exception to this is when you are buying blocks of 10 or 20 hours and they are charged as a retainer, and they will be charged, instead of $275, you can get 10 hours at $2,500, so bringing it down to $250 per hour. Both of those are an increase in your pricing from the original $220, and that's kind of the reason why. So starting to think about, we want to encourage the behavior from our clients that lists absolutely everything that you are going to be engaged to do in this project, because I hate scope creep and I hate things that just go on, and then you're invoicing weekly, and at the end it's just you work for them. You have to track your timing and justify your timing to them. You feel like they're auditing your time because it's hourly. We don't want that. So I hope that that has helped. Let me know in the comments below, or come over and visit me on Instagram at Oleander_and_Finch, and I will share another tip with you next week. Bye for now.